You found the house, your offer was accepted, and you assume your real estate agent is about to hand you the keys. But getting to the point where you actually open the front door involves a step most buyers completely misunderstand. In reality, your agent does not personally handle the legal transfer of your new home. Their job is to negotiate the deal and coordinate the timeline. To actually move the ownership into your name, they hand the file over to a specialized legal entity. Look at this timeline of a home purchase. Between offer accepted and keys in hand sits a tangled knot known as the closing process. It is a highly complex, legally binding phase that requires entirely different expertise than finding the house. Data from the American Land Title Association shows that nearly 1 in 3 deals is targeted by wire fraud attempts, a vulnerability that contributed to $2.77 billion lost to business email compromise in 2024 alone. If you assume your agent is handling all of this behind the scenes, you are flying blind during the exact window where your life savings and your legal rights are most vulnerable. Understanding this transition allows you to track exactly who is responsible for your money and your legal rights at every stage of the closing. Let's clearly divide the responsibilities. Your real estate agent acts as your project manager. They represent your interests, negotiate the price, dictate the terms, and coordinate the inspections and appraisals. All of that hard work leads to a specific result, a ratified, legally binding contract. But right here is a hard boundary. An agent's authority stops at the contract. They cannot give legal advice on ownership structures, and they do not have the power to execute the physical transfer of the deed. If we look at this responsibility matrix, the distinction becomes obvious. Negotiating the price and terms lands strictly in the Realtor column, but actually preparing the deed, holding purchase funds, and legally transferring the property belongs entirely to title and escrow. Because of this strict legal boundary, your transaction requires a formal handoff. The agent must pass the file to a specialized legal entity. Getting a signed agreement is simply the starting line. Turning that piece of paper into official ownership takes an entirely different set of legal tools. Once the title company takes the file, their first major action is the title examination. They have to prove the seller actually has the legal right to sell you the house. To do this, examiners dig through decades of county records, court documents, and past deeds to reconstruct the complete legal history of the property. This search often uncovers legal hazards buried beneath the surface. These can be unpaid liens, unreleased mortgages, or boundary disputes. Discovering these defects immediately pauses the entire timeline. The transaction cannot proceed until these hurdles are cleared. This is where an in-house legal team steps in. They evaluate the severity of the defects and generate the necessary curative documents to legally remove them from the public record. The outcome of this effort is a clean, unencumbered title. A property that is legally safe to transfer to your name. This process ensures that when you take possession, you are receiving the property exactly as the contract describes, free of someone else's legal or financial baggage. Next comes the most vulnerable phase of the transaction, consolidating your purchase funds and loan money, transferring what often totals hundreds of thousands of dollars. These funds are moved into a regulated escrow account. This acts as a strictly controlled, neutral holding zone where your money sits while the final paperwork is prepared. Normal banking procedures are not enough here. Because real estate transfers are heavily targeted by business email compromise, they require institutional-grade security protocols to prevent interception. The primary defense mechanism is rigid adherence to verified wire instructions. These protocols ensure payment details are established securely and are never altered through a simple email. For you as the buyer, there is an unavoidable trade-off. This level of security introduces administrative friction, requiring you to complete extra, highly specific verification steps before your bank can send the money. But that exact friction is what actively eliminates the risk of accidentally wiring your life savings to an offshore scammer. When you look at your closing costs, do not view the settlement fees as administrative padding. You are paying a premium for an impenetrable shield around your money during the most exposed moment of your financial life. The final step is the actual closing. This is where the settlement company completes the signing, disperses the funds, and records the deed with the county to make your ownership official. This brings us to your final point of control, deciding exactly which type of settlement company will handle this execution. Under Virginia law, you generally have the right to choose your settlement agent. You are not legally required to use the company your real estate agent recommends. To make that choice, look at this decision tree. Your transaction will follow one of two different paths based on its specific complexity. If you are dealing with a clean, straightforward sale with no legal red flags, a standard settlement agency provides the necessary escrow and recording services to close the deal. However, if your deal involves an estate, an LLC, a trust, a divorce, or unreleased liens, you are on the complex path. You require the specialized tools of an attorney-led title and escrow firm. The practical value is immediate legal oversight. An attorney drafts corrective deeds, evaluates trust certifications, and resolves title defects, all under one roof, without shipping your file out to a separate law firm. Many buyers assume an attorney-led closing automatically costs more, but the total fees are often comparable. A low advertised base fee at a standard agency frequently hides separate charges for document preparation that an attorney-led firm already consolidates into their total quote. The moment you receive a ratified contract, look at your agent and ask who is handling the title work, and specifically ask if they have an attorney on staff. Your real estate agent successfully negotiated and sold the deal. Now, you must exercise your right to choose a closing team with the exact legal muscle needed to make the property legally yours.